It's time to get nerdy, y'all.
A little bit of gaming history for you.
Something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it.
Should we kick it out of here, or should we kick-start it?
This is the part where you, the listeners, try to stump the hosts.
I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on a podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Monday, November 10th, 2025, and y'all know what that means. It's time to get nerdy, y'all. Welcome to episode number 358 of Two Nerds in a Pod, the nerdiest video game podcast in the galaxy. My name is Lam, also known as Mr. Nice Guy, and I'm joined by my comrade in gaming commentary, the Miggity Mac, also known as Maction. Mac, what's good, buddy? How you been?
I have been doing great, dude. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. I had just like a very, very relaxing weekend, which was awesome. Like, watched my daughter play a couple basketball games with her team, did get in a round of laser tag with a larger group of people, and just had a good time, man. And then, you know, Sunday just kind of relaxed. Went to church and relaxed. So no meat smoking that took up the whole day. Didn't have to drive super far for anything. Just kind of did the dad thing, did the hobby thing, did the relaxation thing. What more can you ask for?
Dude, that sounds fantastic. My week was nowhere near as interesting, never is, but I did wind up having this amusing thing happen where, no, I can't tell that. I can't tell that on stream.
It's funny that you say that because I had a story that was hilarious, but I'm like, I can't tell it. I cannot tell it. So here's the thing about having a podcast. If you have a podcast and you've been doing it for a while and you've won some awards, more people listen to it than you know. Mm-hmm. Like, I know the numbers of how many downloads we get. So let me rephrase that. People who you don't know are listening are listening. So yeah. Mac was about to say something he didn't want to say on here, and that is why, I guarantee. Because you never know.
And not because I don't think it would be funny or it's not topical, but because I think it's just giving away a little bit too much personal information.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've had a relatively straightforward week, Mr. Nice Guy. Basically, all I've been up to this week has been playing some good games, hanging out, helping, my wonderful spouse write some very important letters, and just having a good time.
Dude, you're so mysterious, man.
I know.
Like, I feel like your life is like a point-and-click adventure where, like, there's hints to uncover what's going on, but you're never going to say outright, like, helped my wife write some letters, but can't say about what. And then the whole audience is like, I wonder what he's talking about, and also, why are they writing letters and not sending emails?
Lom, that is incredibly kind of you to say, like, just categorically, because I think most people would hear what I said, and interpret me as basically being a random NPC in an adventure game. I need to find 10 blueberries.
Right.
They would just interpret my weird, quirky cryptiness as that. But yet, for you, you're like, Mac, you're the star of this adventure, rather than just some background. And I appreciate that.
Dude, we're the co-stars of this adventure, right?
Hey, that's
true. The Truman Show should have been about two people. And they should have been interracial besties, right? So, maybe in the sequel. Mac, before we dive into what we do best, I want to give a shout out to a game that dropped this week.
Yeah.
A sequel called Lone Fungus.
Lone Fungus 2, Melody of Spores.
Lone Fungus 2, Melody of Spores. And just to give some quick background, in fact, Mac, why don't you give the background on our history with that game?
Sure. Well, let's see. I believe early on we saw it as a Kickstarter. We talked about it. We loved it. When it got released, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Basti give us copies?
Basti gave us 2 keys for review. Absolutely.
He did indeed. We reviewed it. We loved it. Had a great time with it. And then, we've been awaiting Lone Fungus 2 for a little while now. I think we also talked about it when it came up on Kickstarter.
We did. And so the whole point of this is it's really kind of cool to see the success of this game. We saw it in its infancy before release. We played it when it came out. I did not reach out to Basti for keys because I want to support it monetarily this time. So I'm going to buy a copy, and I would encourage you to do the same. I bought copies of Lone Fungus and gave it to friends as a way of supporting him. And it's just super cool to see something that I don't want to take credit for success, but something that we thought would do well,
Yeah.
and that we knew about before it was cool, right? Very, very emo of me there.
Yeah, well, it was still underground.
Yeah, that's right. So go check out Lone Fungus 2 and enjoy it. Awesome Metroidvania. And Mac, on that note, I say we do what we do best, and we hop right up in that gaming news, my friend. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Dude, what is new in Vidya Gaming?
Dude, there's so much, and I'm excited to talk about it with you. Welcome to episode 358, Two Nerds in a Pod, nerdiest video game podcast in the galaxy. This first news story comes from Polygon.com, written by Ford James. Not James Ford, Ford James. Here's what James writes. Quote, "Don't shoot, I'm friendly," unquote. I don't know what I was expecting going into Arc Raiders. As a predominantly solo player, my would-be duos partner for a game like this can't stop playing World of Warcraft at the moment. Unfortunately, I was mentally prepared to have my butt handed to me as I encountered hostile squads around every corner. That's usually how it goes in games like this. I don't want to read his whole essay here, but he talks a little bit about his experience, and then he says something that I find interesting. Don't shoot, and I paused for thought. They'd clearly spawned in not so long prior, so likely wouldn't have much loot, and I'd waste ammo. I remembered proximity chat was a thing and apologized to them over the mic, talking to him about one of his interactions. He says, this was a pivotal moment for me where I realized playing Arc Raiders as a solo pacifist is perhaps the most immersive, tension-inducing way to enjoy the game. Arc enemies, flying drones, blah, 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 blah. But Mac, he goes on to make the point that Arc Raiders is surprisingly friendly for solo players. I know multiplayer is not your thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is my thing. Co-op is more your thing. But you have played multiplayer games, and you've played online, and you've done co-op. Mm-hmm. And so my question for you is, what makes a community? There are toxic communities. Rainbow Six Siege, I know, is very, very toxic.
Okay.
Maybe a community like Minecraft, a little bit less toxic. Arc Raiders, becoming one of the more helpful communities out there. Do the devs play a role? It's obviously not the genre. So from day one, what do you think makes a community what it is?
Wow, dude, a great question. Of course, your questions are always great, Mr. Nice Guy.
Thanks, man.
To another 358 episodes of this. You know what, Mr. Nice Guy? I honestly don't know.
Yeah?
I don't know how a good community coalesces, aside from just a bunch of us as gamers deciding that that's what we want the community to be. I think it's no different than real life. You know, if you've got a good community, it's because you put in the time and you made it work.
Yeah.
Or you got there after somebody had done so much work and you kept that work going. But I think it's so easy to devolve into just being jerks, because, like, that's easy. Being mean, being cruel, that is easy. Being good to each other, that takes effort.
Be excellent to each other. And Mac, I'm going to come up with two pieces of criteria, and I won't say criteria, but two things that I believe makes a game a good community. And the first one that I'm going to start with is price point.
Interesting.
I believe that the price point of a game can directly affect the type of players that you get.
Okay.
And I have a couple examples. Obviously, Arc Raiders is one, right? Where we're seeing, yes, there are people who go around and kill everything that they see, but the proximity chat allows people to communicate and stop that. I think the fact that it is a $40 game at launch, full AA experience, but AAA level fun. I shouldn't even say that because it makes it sound like AA can't be fun. AAA level polish is probably what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Makes a certain type of person want to support the game. And it's not just someone who can't afford to buy a $60 or $70 game. It's someone who sees the value in supporting these types of companies, right? The second piece that I will give is loot scarcity. So in a game like this, where there doesn't seem to be loot scarcity and there isn't necessarily a market that would have prices go up based on demand or go down, I think that people are more incentivized to help others. And as I have played Arc Raiders, I've gone in and I've had people randomly say, hey, I know you need this dog collar so you can upgrade your chicken, right? Your chicken, the chicken's a guy who gives you all types of gear as you upgrade him, right? He gives you materials. They're like, let's help you find one. And they'll go and they'll help me find one with no benefit to themselves. Now, if dog collars were super hard to find, I don't know that we'd be getting that level of help. I think that those are two of the things that make a community what it is. And I think it's dope. And I think they did a really good job with this. And I hope that they continue to support this game.
Yeah. This sounds fantastic, Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know even though this is very interesting, I don't know as it makes me want to go out and try Arc Raiders, but I love to hear that the community is good and that people are, obviously there's always going to be bad ones, but that a lot of people are working together.
I can tell you 100% Arc Raiders is probably not a game for you, just from what I know of your gaming preferences. But for me, it's fantastic, and I've been absolutely loving it. Well, let's move on, Mac, to two stories that are kind of in the same vein, but I want to get your opinion on what the state of play in the Nintendo Direct themes have become over the years and as of late. So first we're going to read from Game Informer by Wesley LeBlanc. Here's what Wesley writes. PlayStation has announced that it will hold a State of Play of Japan broadcast tomorrow, Tuesday, November 11th at 2 p.m. It will run for more than 40 minutes. However, it's a special episode of State of Play focused on games created in Japan and across Asia, alongside a few other exciting updates. The show will be in Japanese, but a version with English subtitles will air on the PlayStation YouTube channel. The PlayStation blog post announced the State of Play says, from the beloved series to distinctive indie creations, the show will be packed with great games, interviews, and new looks at anticipated titles. Very cool. To supplement this, Mac, we're also going to talk about a Nintendo Direct that's happening later this week, and then I want to get your perspective. Here's what it says. This one is from IGN.com, written by Michael Kripe. News of the next update for the new Super Mario Bros. Sequel arrived via Nintendo app today, with Nintendo also confirming the news in a social media post. The company confirmed that no gaming content will be shown during the presentation, instead telling eager viewers to expect the premiere of the first Super Mario Galaxy movie trailer when the Nintendo Direct premieres this Wednesday. So, Mac, here's my question for you. Like, State of Play at one point was a thing where we'd hear just about games, not region-specific games or where they were produced, which I don't have a problem with, but now it's getting much more niche. Nintendo Direct used to be much more game-focused. Now we're getting a movie trailer. Thoughts on what these Directs have become, especially in a non-E3 world?
Well, I will just make a quick observation about a trend I've noticed in these Directs and State of Plays, and that is, no matter what day we're holding the show, they're always doing something the day after we record, so that we have to wait a full darn
That's
week
true. This is true.
Before we can
Preach.
talk about it again. Dang it.
Preach.
It is definitely a bit interesting. Now, I don't remember, I've got it written down somewhere, but I don't remember what the money that the first Super Mario Brothers movie brought in.
Oh, I have no idea.
For the relative parties. And I'm sure we could look that up, and maybe I'll type it up in a second and see if I can't find it. But it wasn't nothing. However, at the same time, video games as an industry do more business than the film and music industries combined. So I'm disinclined to think that it was so much more that, like, they're like, yeah, we're a movie company too now as well. But I mean, it was a lot of money, and it's certainly worth it for them to do it again.
No, I'm not questioning them making another movie.
Sure, but I understand them dedicating some time in a Nintendo Direct to it, because it wasn't like it was no money at all.
No, I disagree 100%. I fully disagree with you. And I like that they're making another movie, just so that we are all on the same page here. I don't like that it's part of a Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Because at what point does a Nintendo Direct become, hey, here's a new Lego set? Or here is a new Nintendo t-shirt that is, just all types of stuff that's on the periphery of video games. Especially at a time when we have a Switch 2 that launched not that long ago. Like, show me something about Metroid Prime 4, and I may contradict myself later when we talk about Topic of the Week, we'll see. But show me something that is gaming related, whether it is software or it is hardware. It could be a controller, it could be a peripheral, even though I said periphery earlier. What I meant was stuff not related to gaming. I don't want to see a movie trailer in a Nintendo Direct. Just put a movie trailer on YouTube, have us see it, that's it. There's no reason for a dedicated show about that with commentary. I disagree with you.
Okay, no, that's totally understandable. Like, I'm just saying, though, like, I did get a chance while you were talking to look at it. Super Mario Bros. Movie, it cost them, they budgeted $100 million. It brought in $1.3 billion in sales. Now, how much of that wound up being profit going to Nintendo, it's not something to sniff at. Now, in contrast, something like the Nintendo Switch 2, I think last I checked, they were saying that they had sold 150 million units, which at 500 a pop, that's like $77 billion. Although, what profit margin they have on that, who knows? I'm just saying that, like, I get the idea that a lot of people who are psyched about Nintendo are also going to be interested in the this new Super Mario Brothers movie, and it was, some amount of money that they liked, so why not? But I get what you're saying, that this should be about video games. Next thing you know, Mr. Nice Guy, it's going to be about alarm clocks, Nintendo-branded alarm clocks.
Right, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening, because they did that one time. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to hear about Legos. I don't want to hear about alarm clocks. I want to hear about video games in a Nintendo Direct. Like, didn't Nintendo start out as like a hotel company or something? We talked about this before. Or trading cards or something. Like, they did a lot of stuff before video games.
It was definitely playing cards, for starts.
Yeah, I don't know where I got hotel. But point being...
I'm sure that there is a Mario Hotel somewhere in there.
Oh, I'm sure there is. We got a whole Super Nintendo World in Florida, so there's got to be a hotel there. I'm a purist. I'm old school. And in a post-E3 world, I feel like that is why E3 does not exist anymore, is because we realized that we have developed efficiencies to get the word out about our products without everyone having to go to LA, pack up, set up a booth, wait in line. We can send out keys for demos. We can do all types of other events for people to play games, and we can let them know about it in Nintendo Direct and in PlayStation State of Play. Please don't make this something that is so broad that we're now talking about toys and movies as part of it, unless it is secondary to video games.
So, like, Amiibos, though, that's close enough?
Do Amiibos have functionality with video games?
They do.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that Mario Galaxy trailer does, and that's the point that I'm making.
I mean, it's a fair point.
And also, if we're talking about profits, Mac, I'm killing you today, by the way.
Please.
I'm pretty sure Amiibos are pretty dang profitable.
I am quite sure.
I don't think they deserve an Nintendo Direct devoted just to them.
100% agree, but also on the subject of profits, you know what isn't so profitable anymore?
What?
Funko Pops.
That's true. I believe they are not very profitable. Well, hey, we're sitting here having a friendly debate. That's been our news for the week.
All right. Well, now let's take a little look into the past with some video game history. Mr. Nice Guy, this last week has been bonkers with respect to gaming history, and I'm excited to share just a few of the interesting history morsels with you. Some of which I know will resonate. For example, released in 2004 for the original Xbox, Halo 2. Now, I have to know, Mr. Nice Guy, did you get Halo 2 on release?
Oh, absolutely not, man. Halo was a game that I obviously heard of, but I was not ever really, really into Xbox until the 360, so I missed out.
No worries, man. It was very interesting. I got, obviously I got Halo 1 and Halo 2 both basically on launch, within a few days. And I found that I did not appreciate Halo 2 anywhere near as much as I liked Halo 1. Although, a few years ago, I started doing a replay through everything, all the Halos with the Master Chief Collection, and I actually found that it really grew on me. I think my expectations coming from Halo 1 were just too rigid to appreciate Halo 2 for what it was in that time. So I was glad that I had a chance to revisit it. But back in 2004, I was very much just like, I could do without this. Bring back Combat Evolved. That was my stance on it. Another game that Mac has been wrong about in all the ways it's possible to be wrong, released in 2011 for the PC, PS3, and Xbox One. That is a little title called Skyrim. Relevant today, every day, and forever into eternity. I saw you roll your eyes, Mr. Nice Guy. Am I being too ridiculous?
You're being ridiculous, bro, because you know it wasn't released for those consoles. So, I mean, it was released the generation before, right? It was re-released.
You don't say. It was re-released?
I think they've done that once or twice.
You
may or may not remember there was an Alexa version of Skyrim that was like an April Fool's joke, but was actually functional. Did you not know this?
No, I did know that. I'm just so glad you're the one who's saying it instead of me, because people would think I'm being crazy.
It's true.
We've gotten 2003 for the Xbox, PS2, GameCube, PC, the whole gamut. At the time, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. It was an action RPG. The viewpoint was very much, it followed you around. It wasn't quite like a brawler game, but it had this sort of 3D combat. You know, you had waves and waves of orcs. You were going through areas that featured in the films. It was a fantastic game. Mr. Nice Guy, I don't know if this was one that you played at all, was it?
Never been into it, man, but I have heard that Shadows of Mordor, which is a later Lord of the Rings game, is absolutely phenomenal. Maybe someday I'll have time for that.
I honestly don't know how well it has held up, because I haven't revisited it lately, but in 2003, when it came out, I played this thing to no end. You could pick a bunch of the different characters and run them through, level them up, go through various boss fights. They had times where you could revisit previous events in the series. One thing that was really kind of weird was that they had a Fellowship of the Ring, a Two Towers, and a Return of the King game, and every single one of these games were all published by the same publisher, but all made by completely different studios, and none of them really felt like the others, especially Fellowship. Fellowship felt like, you know, like they got completely different design documents, not just like we had different studios, but Order was for a completely different style game, which is how it felt. But anyway, that's Return of the King. Loved it back when it came out. I'll have to revisit it and let you know if it holds up. But Mr. Nice Guy, it was back in 2018 that I think the biggest news thing happened.
Tell me more.
In years past. 2018, if you can believe it or not. At a little event called BlizzCon, they announced a new game, Diablo Immortal. And then afterwards, they had themselves a Q&A section. And somebody, a brave soul, goes up with quavering voice. He says, is there any please, sir, are you going to give us PC players some gruel? Or is this going to be just, mobile exclusive? To which they say, yes, mobile only. And the crowd erupts in boos. And then we wait a beat. And then the guys on the stage say, what's the matter? Don't you have phones? And that's just kind of... things continued on from there. But when it eventually did release in 2022, they even had an open beta for PC in June of 2022. And I want to quote what they said about why they weren't sticking with just mobile devices at the time.
Yes, tell us.
Quote, on the one hand, we felt that we wouldn't be doing the title justice by releasing a game originally designed for mobile on PC. On the other hand, we wanted to make sure the game reached as many players as possible, especially our most dedicated PC fans. The deciding factor was that we knew many of you would attempt to play this game through an emulator, thus leading us toward building a better experience. Which is kind of the most ridiculous way of saying we listened to the fans.
It doesn't even make sense.
Was to say, hey, we knew y'all would pirate this, so we gave you what you asked for and put it on PC so that you wouldn't pirate. Although it's a free-to-play game, so I mean, what's the big deal? As long as you're shelling out for the microtransactions. Am I right? Or am I right?
I think you're right.
Mac is right. Mr. Nice Guy 2025. You heard it there, folks.
Absolutely not.
It's still something that every so often I look back at and I just wonder about that. And this I wasn't quoting somebody from like something that they said off the cuff or in an interview. That was part of the official statement that came out. So anyway, I mean, I guess you could take a few different lessons from that in history. One is that enough booze and maybe they'll give you a PC port. Who knows? Or dares to dream.
Dude, we've talked about this before, like not to get too off topic, but you think about Mass Effect 3, and I still have not played Mass Effect 3, but how mad people were about the ending, right? It got so much attention that it ultimately resulted in them changing the ending.
Yes.
We think about when Sony was going to make it so you could share games, Xbox was going to not let you share games on consoles, right? And then people booed and they changed their mind. So these things happen.
Yeah, they do. And I think that we're probably, in some ways, we're better off. In some ways, we're worse off. But I don't know. That's just history for you.
Nice. Well, let's keep it moving with our topic of the week, a segment where we talk about something relevant in gaming and discuss our opinions on it. And Mac, this is something that has come up before, but not quite in this format. So we're going to use two news stories here for reference to talk about the idea of when a game should be released and the effect that it has on the industry, both positive and negative. So let's start off by talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. As many of you know, last week it was announced that game has been delayed, and we're going to read a little bit from the Economic Times, written by, does the author have their name on here? The author may not, by Muskin Singh. Here's what Muskin writes. Grand Theft Auto fans are still reeling from the news that GTA 6 has been pushed to late 2026. But for PC gamers, their disappointment cuts even deeper. While the console gamers count down the new date, PC fans are staring at a timeline that could stretch far beyond 2027 and possibly later. It's only been days since Rockstar confirmed that GTA 6 has been pushed back to late 2026, and reactions have been intense. Bottom line, Mac, the PC version often comes out after the console version.
Yeah.
And with us knowing that it's now delayed till late 2026, the PC version might be even later. That's the first part. Here is the second part about a completely different game on IGN.com. This is written by Wesley Yin Poole. Elder Scrolls 6, one of the most hotly anticipated video games in the world, won't be out for some time, despite being announced over 7 years ago, Bethesda development chief Todd Howard has said. In an interview with GQ magazine to celebrate the release of Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, Howard said that Elder Scrolls 6 is still a long way off. He added, "I'm preaching patience. I don't want fans to feel anxious." So, Mac, two totally different approaches here. Rockstar keeps moving the target, keeps pulling the carrot that's on a stick away from gamers. Elder Scrolls technically was announced 7 years ago, but they're being very clear that it is a way off. Which do you prefer as a gamer? A moving target that generates anticipation, or honesty that something you know is coming is still a ways off?
I appreciate the question, Mr. Nice Guy. I think it's easy for me to say that I prefer honesty about what the roadmap's like. Because one of the things I dislike more than anything else in the game industry is crunch. And when I think you've got moving targets, that expectation and anticipation breeds an environment of crunch time for the game developers. Whereas the more taciturn approach of being like, it's ready when it's ready, we'll put it out there, and being like, it's a ways off, gives the developers a chance to do it right the first time. I think. That's my take. I will say I do think that there are other possible approaches to it, but I do appreciate how you've sort of showcased in one go probably the two best ones.
Say that again, that last part.
Oh, I appreciate how you brought us both what I think are two of the best approaches
to
the release.
Yeah, and to add one more quote from this article, Todd Howard also said, "I like to just announce stuff and release it. My perfect version, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, is that it's going to be a while and then one day the game will just appear. The Oblivion Remastered Shadow Drop was a test run Howard teased. It's a tongue twister. It worked out well. So here's my thing. I prefer honesty. I don't believe that the moving target is really a moving target.
Yeah.
These are people that have made many, many, many good games, and I don't believe that you announce a game in, let's call it 2023, and then you keep delaying it until 2026, and you had no idea that delay was going to happen. I think that you knew that the game was not ready. It's much like Silksong. Like, they announced it, they knew it wasn't going to be ready for a while. So which do I prefer of the two? I'm going to go with the honest route.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. I think that when people are misleading, and not just like on a moral level, but I feel like when people are misleading about this type of stuff, it causes gamers, it causes consumers to do certain things that they would not otherwise do and to spend money that they would not otherwise spend. I know for a fact that there have been people who bought the PlayStation Pro in anticipation of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Are they in the room with us right now?
They are not in the room with us right now, but they may be listening. And if you are listening after the fact, I'm just telling you the truth. You bought that PlayStation Pro because you were waiting for GTA 6. And now you have a PlayStation Pro with some cool features, but not a lot to play on it that's new. You should have just stuck with your PlayStation 5. So Mac, it causes people to spend money on hardware. Maybe even to like upgrade a TV if they're really hardcore, or to make sure that a PC is ready in anticipation of this game once the specs are announced or once you think you know what the specs are. And I just don't think that is right. I think that it's a strategic move that the industry makes, and I disagree with it wholeheartedly.
Nice guy, I know this is not specifically relevant to this direct, but I've been thinking a lot lately about the long development cycles that we're seeing and have seen continue in games. And while I don't think Valve always does it right or always has a point or anything like that, I'm not fanboying out for Valve, I am struck by the idea that we got Half-Life games and we got an episode 1 and we got an episode 2 on much shorter time frames. And there is a part of me that wonders if that's not a good lesson for them. Instead of, you announced it in, 20 whenever, and we've been waiting 7 years for it, and we're going to wait another 6 months. Maybe if there is a way for you to take a note there and to try giving something to gamers who have been waiting, sell it in smaller, discrete things instead of a 100-hour experience. I'll take a 20-hour experience, and wait a little bit for a thing.
I would. That's tough, man. Like, in principle, I agree with you, but would you really want a 20-hour Elder Scrolls game?
Maybe.
That's the $1 million question. No, you wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. I won't speak for you, but I don't believe that you really want that. I think that a big part of the appeal of Elder Scrolls is that it's huge and that there's a lot to do and that you can play it for a really long time. But I think that in principle, what you were saying is correct, that game companies can start making more bite-sized experiences and that not everything needs to be super, super huge. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And then I have one other counterpoint.
Oh, yeah, and I was going to just pile on with that, we're seeing the expectation like we talked about last time, people saying, you should be happy to pay $100 for GTA 6 if it ever comes out, when it ever comes out. But you should be happy to pay $100 just because of how long we've worked on that. And honestly, that sounds like a you problem, not an us problem. You determined how long you wanted this game to go on. You determined the amount of features and the length and the size. I don't know how many people are, what people are asking for, because I'm not a part of the GTA crowd. I don't know what features the crowd is demanding, but there is some part of me that's just like, I can hardly imagine that is the type of experience that they're asking for, is an experience that we have to wait 10 plus years for.
Well, oh man, yeah, we could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know that we were waiting 10 years for it, because it came out and we were playing GTA 5, right? So it's not like we were waiting for GTA 6. We were enjoying the one that had come out, at least for like the first 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it was like, okay, well now we're excited for GTA 6. Yes, you're still supporting and you're still live servicing, but now we're waiting, right? So I don't know if like launch to launch is really a fair assessment of waiting, if that makes sense.
Okay. But is it not true that the previous entrants in even the GTA franchise were significantly smaller launch windows? Like on the order of
100%.
2 years, 3 years.
Sure, 100%. And that brings me really quickly to my other counterpoint about the Half-Life comparison, which is, yes, there was a shorter time between the releases, but game development has come a long, long way, right? In terms of graphics, in terms of voice acting, in terms of stories, in terms of online functionality for a world, right, where you can play GTA Online. So that to me, shorter time between games 20 years ago was for a reason, whereas now games are much more.
I suppose counterpoint to your counterpoint, when we're talking about something like GTA Online, isn't that something that came out after the single player experience dropped? And isn't that something we're still expecting to come out sometime after? With the length of these development cycles, who the heck knows how much long after?
That's true. I think it was like 6 months or 3 months or something like that from single player.
That's pretty quick.
Like they wanted people to play the single player, right? They didn't want people to skip it. So I think that was their rationale. So anyway, please just stop cheating gamers out of their money. I don't know if that's fully their intent, but I think that it happens.
And tell us what's up.
Tell us what's up. Be honest. Stop announcing games 10 years before and pretending like they're going to come out and moving the target. That has been topic of the week.
And Antonio, I appreciate your question. I think it's entirely possible that GTA 6 could be delayed till 2027.
I agree.
Yeah. Given what we know.
and dang, Mac, and I gotta say this too, man.
Yeah.
Like, the recent consoles came out in 2020.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 2027, very, very good chance that we're looking at new hardware.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you bought a PS Pro for nothing, for those who did. Not for nothing, but if you were waiting for GTA 6 on it, now you're not getting it until the PlayStation 6 comes out. Is that going to be scarce? Is it even going to be released on that? What is that going to look like? It's such a complicated situation.
Absolutely. Well, to something perhaps maybe a little bit hopeful, this is a thing called VR piano. Now, I don't have that much in the way of VR hookups, personally, but I have kind of always wanted to learn to play the piano. And what this Kickstarter project is for is to basically, well, not so much to make the program that interfaces with the VR and the keyboard to let you sort of, in a rhythm game style format, to play songs, but really for the song licensing is most of what this Kickstarter is about, because they want to give you the option to play a lot of songs from anime and Japanese pop on the piano, and that stuff, usually doesn't come for free. So this VR piano game, it's the first Kickstarter by this crew, and if you're looking to get into something like this, it would be $33 is sort of the entry level, $38 after the early birds go, and they've got more tiers that give you the app and the songs that come with it, including the various practice levels, as well as a certain number of redeemables for more songs from the library of songs that are in the game. More on that later. This isn't the first time that there has been a VR piano, play piano or learn piano game. I am familiar with at least one other. But it does seem like they've got some pretty good polish on this. The expected delivery is to be February of next year. And I've got some thoughts, Mr. Nice Guy, that I've kind of broken down into the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let's hear it, dude.
On the good, I think it seems cool. Something I would like to learn, the piano, and seems within reach. The bad is that there is a lot of kit that you have to bring to make this piece of software work. Number one, you need to have a VR headset, a specific one, but more on that later, as well as a keyboard that has MIDI output. Now, to be fair, almost any keyboard since the 90s has had that, but that's the equipment you already have to do. And of course, another bad thing is that music licensing, it's a concern for any type of music-based game that's going to license real songs. And now the ugly here is that it's only planned to work with the MetaQuest 3 and related headsets.
Interesting.
And the music available beyond the base, beyond the base pack that comes packed in, is essentially DLC with either $4 per song that you want to be able to play, or, if you buy the song tickets as a part of the Kickstarter thing, I think you're getting it at a bit of a discount.
So I was way more excited for this in the first 5 minutes of hearing about it and looking at it than I am now. So just to be clear, a real piano would not work with this. You have to have a keyboard.
Correct. Well, any piano that has a MIDI output. So there would be, not like an old analog, this would have to be a piano that has some digital component to it. And there are plenty of pianos that are, as I said, analog, but that also have, electronics baked in. But this would work best with your keyboards and things like that. And I think it'll work with all the different types of keyboards, like your, whatever they are, like 84 key and 47 key and, all that sort of thing. But yeah.
So I guess I need to back up. This is actually not as unique of an idea as we think it is. Mm-hmm. At first I was like, wow, this is awesome. My kids will use this. This is great. I mean, I had a game back in the day called Mario Teaches Typing.
Man, you got Mario? I had to make do with Mavis Beacon.
I don't know who Mavis Beacon is. Who's Mavis Beacon?
I don't know, but she taught typing too. It's an old game.
Interesting. Maybe that's why you type so poorly, Matt.
How dare you?
I've seen you type, bro. No, anyway, so the idea of learning something through a video game as a skill is not new, is all I'm trying to say. There were a lot of cool games growing up, Outnumbered, lots of cool games that taught you about numbers, multiplication, or how to do a skill like typing through video games. So that's not that unique. $4 DLC is wild. The fact per song, that's very much like Beat Saber territory. The idea that you cannot use this with a real piano is also absurd. I thought that this was syncing with the keys. Maybe you do some type of calibration, like when you calibrate a room with VR, and you say, here's where my piano starts, here's where it ends, here's where the middle C is, and then the software says, all right, play. It's not doing that. And so this is not nearly as cool as I thought it was. Lastly, I gotta say, Mac, this is a prime example of why Kickstarter should have a minimum. $1,300 is wild. It's wildly low. And I'm not even concerned about them paying themselves, because with the DLC, if they get this made, they will be able to pay themselves. But prove to me that you can raise $10,000. Not that you can donate $1,000 of your own money and then have strangers put money in as well. That's my thoughts.
There's not too frightfully much more to this to say, Mr. Nice Guy. I think you nailed a lot of the things that I, too, was like, oh my gosh, and then I was just like, oh. I mean, still cool. For example, the only thing I lack in this is, well, of course, the software, but I also lack the VR headset in order to do this. But I know that the keyboard that I have here at my place would be able to handle this no problem. However, I just don't think it gets across the line for me. So I appreciate that. Well, Nice Guy, I guess.
But Mac, here's a question for you though.
Yeah,
so
please.
If you did have a VR headset,
yeah,
would you even spend time doing this with the VR headset, or would you be doing other things?
I have always wanted to learn the piano. I think I can plunk out 1 or 2 songs, but I have always wanted to. And I think this, at least at glance, because I haven't been able to use the software, seems like the thing that is just enough of a game. Because I love rhythm games, and it's just enough of a game that I think would actually make it work for me. So, yeah, I think I would actually do it.
So, I guess I have one more problem to express about this, which is it's too niche in terms of the types of songs that it's offering. Like, yes, you want to learn how to play piano. I kind of do too. But I don't know that I want to learn how to play it based on Japanese anime or Japanese pop songs. No disrespect, like it's cool music. Well, no, I have no problem with that music. I just think that I'd want something more broad. Like if I'm learning to play piano, I want to learn other things than like very, very specific niche stuff. Because what are you going to do? Then someone's going to be like, can you play piano? And you'll be like, oh yeah, let me play Sandstorm or whatever. Like that, to me, that's just wild. Or like, here's the theme to Sailor Moon. You know, that's just not a cool party trick in my opinion.
Look, that's a banger, and everybody in that house would be jumping, Mr. Nice Guy. Sailor Moon, she is the one, Sailor Moon. And that's all we can do for copyright.
I say kick this Kickstarter.
I do say kick as well. Unfortunately, I just, I'll see if it works on the far end. But yeah, like you said, you go in expecting one thing, and it's a little bit more limited, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and it just, I just don't think it brings enough to warrant our dollars. But obviously, we wish them the best, and we hope that they manage to bring a product that is good and that people love. But just not for us.
Well, hey, buy Lone Fungus 2, y'all. We gave you something good to buy this week.
That's
Go
true.
buy Lone Fungus 2. Well, hey, now it's time for a segment we like to call Nerd Flex. Woohoo! A segment where you, the viewer, try to stump the host. Sometimes you do, sometimes you do not. Mac, we have some awesome questions in the test bank that we're going to start with today. For those of you who don't know how this works, if you're here live, put a multiple choice gaming related question in the chat, Mac, and I use nothing but our noggins to try to answer it. And we also have a test bank of randomly generated questions that we try to answer. Mac, here's question number 1 this week. It's a Sonic question. What Sonic game features both Yoshi and Zelda crossover DLC? Right? That was my thought. What Sonic game features both Yoshi and Zelda crossover DLC?
We are going to learn some things today, everybody.
We are.
I have no idea, but like Sonic 3D Blast or something like that?
Well, here's my thought, because obviously the early Sonics, like before DLC, right? So that's not happening.
Yeah.
My other thought is it has to be a Sonic game that is probably not exclusive to a Sega console. So my mind immediately goes to like the Nintendo game, the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if those had DLC, but I'm thinking like one of the Sonic Advance games. It's on a Nintendo console. Very feasible. What do you think?
Well, I think that sounds perfectly reasonable. You said that very reasonable point about DLC, and I think that it must be something much later. So I'm going to say something like Sonic Unleashed, that very much wound up being, in, I want to say the 20-teens.
Yeah.
But I love the route you're going down, and I think you're probably going to be right.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like probably some cosmetic DLC or something like that. It's not new levels or characters being in there, but something like that. So let's see what the answer is. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog Lost World. Not one that I'm familiar with.
Me neither.
But I'm going to look it up because I'm curious when it came. All right, well, let's keep things moving. All right, hey, Mac, we got a special round.
Woo-woo!
We have got a special round. Name 2 games. It wants to just name 2. So if we name 3, we fail, I guess. Name 2 games
special round. Name as many as you can. 2's the minimum.
It literally says name 2. I see what you're saying. Name 2 games about building a civilization.
Okay. I'm going to say Civilization.
I was going to say Civilization 2.
Ooh.
Just kidding. No, I would go with like The Sims building a civilization, or is it more just about like building your?
I mean, I could see it both ways.
Okay.
I've also got Age of Empires.
That was going to be my next one, and there's a bunch of those.
Dang. I'm sorry I didn't leave it for you.
No, that's okay. What's the game with the sheep, the lamb? Cult of the Lamb, I think it's called.
Oh.
Is kind of like building a civilization.
Mm-hmm.
It's building a cult. But yeah, we'll go with Cult of the Lamb.
I think basically almost any Sid Meier game kind of qualifies, because he was very big into that. He's the one who did Civilization. He also did something like Alpha Centauri. He's all about that, but you're like building civilizations on other planets. Alpha Centauri, more specifically. Let's see. Gosh,
I feel like Fallout Shelter, I believe, is kind of building a civilization.
Yeah, there was one that I played back in the 20-teens called Endless Space. That was, you were kind of like doing the sort of thing. You were conquering space, building a galactic empire. I think that counts.
And I think that's plenty for the sake of time. So let's see what they have on the back. Yeah, so they only have 3 listed here: Civilization, Age of Empires, and Age of Wonders. And of course, those others that we got will all count as bonus numbers. All right, Mac, here is this one might be too easy. It might be the one I'm thinking of, but let's do it anyway. Sega question: which game is the player greeted with the words "Welcome to Fantasy Zone"? Which game is the player greeted with the words "Welcome to the Fantasy Zone"? I immediately thought Sonic, but that's actually not the case. But Zone is often used in Sonic.
Yeah, I don't know. Welcome to the Fantasy Zone. Is it like Lee Carvello's putting challenge?
Maybe. I'm gonna go with Michael Jackson Moonwalker, Space Harrier, which I have not heard of, but we learned something new today. And hey, that has been Nerdflex.
All right. Well, don't forget, future episodes, you can be here live, like Antonio is, and submit questions here live to stump us. But for now, Mr. Nice Guy, we have a little bit of legalese.
Legalese.
I am not a lawyer. I do just play one on a podcast, and this concerns a case that we thought was done in the books, and we'd never really talk about it again. That is Epic v. Google. And now, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Neither of these companies are your friend. Either of them would sell you down the river if it made them a buck, and the fact that you might be rooting for one over the other is probably due entirely to whose closet and which skeletons you've seen most recently. Neither one of these guys is a hero, neither is in the right, neither deserves your devotion. Okay, thus endeth the rant. Let's actually get to the legalese. Mr. Nice Guy, as I'm sure you remember, Epic won its case against Google. We've covered it before here on this show. But at the conclusion, certain orders were entered into, and the judge said, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z by such and such a time. Now, I think it was about a couple months ago or so, Google asked for more time to conform to the judge's order. And Epic was also like, yeah, give them some more time, Your Honor. And that's because these two companies, no, I kid you not, they said, yeah, no, we're all cool with that.
Give them some more time.
Give them more time. And that's because behind the scenes, these two companies were working on, say, an adjustment, shall we say, to the court's final order. Something that they've both agreed to, a mutual settlement agreement, has been submitted recently. Now, what does the settlement say? The answer, we don't know. They filed it under seal. But we do have a summary of what they submitted that seems to leave a lot of the same things in place while adjusting or changing things. And I've got some of that up here, Mr. Nice Guy, if you'll humor me here.
Let's do it, brother.
There are they highlighted 5 different themes in the judge's order, things that the judge said you will do this, and they said in various ways, hey, we're either going to modify this a bunch and we want it modified like this and this is why it's good, or we're not touching this. Like, for example, with respect to app distribution conduct, they'll be like, oh, well, the previous thing said, this one quotes it almost verbatim the whole way, And so, we're going to keep that the same. The second one, app distribution competition, is just like, oh, well, this is what it said about this, but here's our proposal that we've both agreed is good. Instead of being like, oh, Google, you have to let everybody on, to things, it's just like, we've both agreed. How about we have this thing where we have registered app stores? And so just app stores that have successfully proven that they can be secure wind up getting the fast pass onto Google devices, whereas they don't have to let just any app store in. Decrease that friction, make it easier. Now, obviously, as part of the sealed thing, Epic has figured out exactly what security criteria need to be in place in order for you to be a registered app store, so that possibly conveniently they're the only people who meet that criteria, and maybe Amazon doesn't, and so ... You can fill in the blanks from there. But obviously we have no idea because all that stuff was filed under seal, and this is just the summary. An interesting thing is that it seems as though Google got Epic to agree to a sort of maximum amount that they'll pay for those in-app billing of the in-app services. And it looks like it's not going to be 30% anymore, somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 to 20%. Who knows or dares to dream? But yet that is something that they specifically cite. I could go on, but I think I'm seeing eyes glaze over, and rightly so, because it's silly legalese.
I don't think my eyes are glazing over.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about you, nice guy. I'm talking about everybody else who's listening. Yeah, Jeff, I see you. No, I think the thing of it is maybe I'm just way too cynical, but neither of these guys agreed to say stop what the courts were going to force Google to do out of the kindness of their hearts. They agreed to a mutual settlement because they thought it would put them both in better positions. And who knows what that's going to mean. I can see, just having looked at it one way, this trusted registered app stores, I could see one way how Epic can position themselves to be the only non-Google app store that fits. And if the judge is willing to agree to this, to this settlement, then, we'll see how difficult it winds up being for other app stores to get in. But you gotta think, when you read these things, you gotta think, hey, these two people who've been at each other's throats for years have agreed. One of them, Epic, who arguably in the Google case got everything that they wanted, has agreed to let go of some of that. Why? They're definitely getting something. And so you should be worried about that. Maybe not worried, but at least be skeptical. And maybe a little cynical. I don't know. It's not the law, but it is legalese.
It is indeed. Mac, thank you so much for that.
Of course.
Interesting when you see your enemies working together.
I know, right? It terrifies me.
Not that either of those are our enemies, but it's
they are my enemies.
I like video games. Mac does not. Wait. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for listening after the fact. And before we go, we have one last segment called What We've Been Watching and What We've Been Playing, where we talk about just that, the cool, nerdy stuff we've been into across all platforms. And if you are here live or in the Discord, let us know what you've been watching and playing. Always looking for cool stuff. Mac, what you been into the past week?
So I've been watching a UK series called Ghosts, watching it on Prime and I don't even know what streaming service it is at this point, but it's excellent. It features a lot of the actors that I enjoy from their time in Taskmaster, and it's just a delight to see them in their element. That's most of what I've been watching lately. As for playing, though, I've been trying to finish off Silk Song, and also, since Lone Fungus 2 dropped, I had to pick it up. I already bought it! And
nice. Did you play it yet?
I did. I've played it for a few hours. I'm making some good progress. So I'm excited to talk about it with you when you get there.
Nice. I appreciate that. Well, Mac, I got to talk about one show that I'm particularly excited to watch that I have not had time to dive into yet. And it is a show that is on Apple TV exclusively, which frustrates me because I don't have Apple TV, I don't think. Pluribus, which stars Rhea Seehorn, is written by Vince
so good.
Gilligan. She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah.
She was on Better Call Saul, for those who do not remember, and Breaking Bad, obviously. And so, same writer. This is a sci-fi thing. Mac, have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I want to watch it. I, too, do not have Apple TV or what have you, so it'll be a while for me.
I do not need another streaming service. So it's going to have to wait. But it looks cool. If you have Apple TV, check it out. As far as playing, Mac, I've really been into Arc Raiders. Like, it is such a good game. And the idea that you can hop into a game in a group of 3 where the 2 people who you're playing with are people who you queued up with that you don't know, and have a good time and explore, and people are willing to help. Like, the community is just so dope. And when I was talking about price point earlier, I forgot to mention that another example of this is Helldivers 2. $40 game, had a really helpful community. So I feel like something about the $40 game, it's almost rebellious against the $70 game that we're now seeing become the standard. People are like, oh, $40 and the game is really good. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to not ruin the community, because subconsciously I want there to be more $40 games that are really good experiences.
Yeah.
So I wish I had said it that eloquently earlier. But yeah, for the sake of time, Mac, that's really what I've been into. Still watching Fear the Walking Dead as well.
Nice.
Well, why don't you take us home, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to the show, for helping us make 358 the episode that it was. Y'all are fantastic. And remember that you can join us live at twitch.tv/2nerdsinapod Monday evenings, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central. Be a part of the conversation and just hang out and give us those suggestions for movies, TV, books, and games that you're into. Give us the nerdiness. But until we see you next time, remember to be excellent to each other and keep it nerdy. Bye.
And bye, Lone Fungus, too. Well done, Basti.
Heck yeah.